Part 155. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1541. If someone is missing, of course we have to find him. Master Yideng and little Huangrong got along very well, so he immediately decided to take the four people, the fisherman, the woodcutter, the farmer, and the scholar, and Guojing to track down Wang Feng. This was also helpless. Master Yideng's power was greatly reduced after healed Huangrong. He couldn't be left alone. If Master Yideng didn't go there in person, the four people, the fisherman, the woodcutter, the farmer, and the scholar, would never leave his side. It was obviously not appropriate to let Guojing go to find him by himself. Guojing's martial arts were indeed very high, far exceeding the level of the original work at the same time, but his experience in the martial arts world was really poor. For 1,000-mile tracking, it was useless to have good martial arts skills alone, and the most important thing was the experience in the martial arts world. Think about it, 18 years ago, Duan Tian kidnapped Li Ping and fled all the way north from Niojia village to the desert. At that time, the martial arts of the 7 freaks of Jiangnan were not very high, but they were able to track for 1,000 miles without being thrown off. This is the importance of experience. If Guojing went to chase alone, he would definitely be fooled by Wang Feng. Maybe one day he would even lose his life, and it would be really bad if no one followed him. Master Yideng was also worried about the young couple. Wang Feng held Huangrong hostage and did not dare to go back to find his son and apprentice. He also chose to go north. Yideng, Guojing, and 6 other people followed him closely and could not get rid of him. But he was not worried. In terms of martial arts, these people could not do anything to him even if they caught up with him. What's more, he had Huangrong as a hostage, and he would definitely get the 9-yin manual in the end. However, what he never expected was that not long after, the seriously injured Wanyankang brought him a bad news that Wang Ke was dead. Wang Feng felt dizzy and almost vomited blood and died. He hurriedly grabbed Wanyankang's neck to ask for details. In Wanyankang's words, the matter was very simple. One day, Wang Ke met the envoys sent by Mongolia to the Song dynasty, namely Tolui, Huazhang, Jibi, Borshu, and others. Wang Ke was a lustful man. Seeing Huazhang's heroic appearance, his saliva flowed out again. He hadn't tasted the taste of desert women yet. So he went forward to tease her, and then the two sides started fighting. The two of them never thought that although the Mongolians were not good at martial arts, they had been through many battles and were very powerful in fighting. At this time, Wang Ke's leg injury had not yet fully recovered. Facing the horse riding and archery tactics of 20 or 30 Mongolian cavalrymen who came and went like the wind, he really couldn't deal with it. Wang Ke unfortunately died tragically under the arrows of Jebi. Wanyankang was also hit by several arrows and almost died. In the crisis, he had to rob a Mongolian horse and escape to find his master. The Mongolian horse under his crotch and the several Mongolian-style arrows in his body can all prove his words. Wang Feng was furious when he heard this, TNND, and he didn't care about the 9-yin manual. He immediately wanted to take Huangrong and Wanyankang to seek revenge on the Mongolians. He knew his son's virtue, and it was entirely possible that he was tempted by beauty. In the original novel, Wang Ke flirted with Mu Nianzi and Chen Yejia before his leg injury was completely healed, which resulted in his death, and he was stabbed to death by Wanyankang. At this time, Huangrong finally showed her high IQ and questioned Wanyankang, making him speak incoherently, and finally confessed the truth. All this was because Wanyankang wanted to get rid of Wang Ke and become Wang Feng's direct disciple. But this matter must be done perfectly. Ordinary tricks will never fool the West Poison. When he was in a dilemma, he met the Mongolian envoys by chance. He immediately thought of a plan to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. As long as he provoked the conflict between the Mongolian envoys and Wang Ke and sent Wang Ke away. there was a 50% chance that he would become Wang Feng's direct disciple. As for whether he would be killed by Wang Feng in anger, it would depend on his acting skills. He had already thought about it, not only to play a full role in revenge for Wang Ke. He also had to shed tears frequently to show that he and Wang Ke had a very good relationship. Most importantly, he swore to the heavens that he would adopt his son to Wang Ke to inherit the family line. The ancients valued this kind of thing very much. In this way, it is estimated that there is a 70% chance of deceiving Wang Feng. In addition, he never forgot his identity as a young prince of the Jin kingdom. If the Mongolian envoys, especially Genghis Khan's youngest son Tului, died in the territory of the Song dynasty, the alliance between the two countries would definitely not be possible. This is a great thing for the Jin kingdom. The Mongols killed Wang Ke and also offended the Western poison Wang Feng to death. This big guy has outstanding martial arts and is good at using poison. He will definitely make Mongolia miserable. Isn't the great Jin kingdom a chance? Why not do it? As long as this matter is done, there will be many benefits. Wang Yankang has always been a very adventurous person. After thinking about it, he immediately started to implement it. In the original book, he just picked up the green bamboo stick, the token of the beggar gang, and dared to use it to cheat, and even wanted to be the leader of the beggar gang. The probability is actually less than 50%. This shows how courageous he is. However, Wang Yankang has never experienced Huang Rong's intelligence. The tricks he used to deceive Wang Feng did not work in front of Huang Rong. In anger, Wang Feng tortured Wang Yankang to death, and was also very grateful to Huang Rong. Although he did not let her go, the old poisoner also made a promise that as long as Huang Rong did not run away, he would never hurt or abuse Huang Rong, nor would he force her. The reason why Huang Rong was not released immediately was, firstly, for the 9-yin manual, secondly, he wanted to get some of the secrets of the manual from Huang Rong. He believed that Huang Yaoshi Nanziran must have told her something, and it would be fine if it could help him. During these 3 years, Wang Feng had the idea of recruiting a disciple. It was the same reason as the king of the Golden Wheel in the Return of the Condor heroes who took a fancy to little Guo Xiang. Huang Rong was indeed a good seedling. Now her son Wang Ke was dead, and her disciple Wang Yankang was killed by her own hands. Wouldn't the White Camel Mountain in the western regions have lost its inheritance? At her age, I really don't know if it will be too late to have another child and wait for him to grow up and inherit my unique skills. Little Huang Rong can be used as the #1 spare tire. There is another advantage to letting Huang Rong inherit his family's martial arts. That is, Huang Rong's background is too deep, so there is no need to worry that she will die on the street. In addition, Wang Yankang's previous words also reminded Wang Feng that his son Wang Ke really liked Huang Rong. As long as he treats her well, he may be able to convince this lovely girl to adopt a son to Wang Ke in the future. By then, the descendants of the East Evil, West Poison, North Beggar, and the 7 freaks of Jiangnan will be a family. Wang Feng asked himself that he probably would not have the chance to reconcile with those enemies in this life, but he did not want his descendants to be hostile to them or even hunted down. This move was a plan that killed many birds with one stone. His imagination was so unique that even the extremely smart Huang Rong could not guess it. She just felt a little scared that Wang Feng suddenly treated her well. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1542. Wang Ke, who was a top-notch martial artist, died under the Mongolian arrows. There were many reasons for this. First, he was in poor condition and his leg injury had not healed, so it was not so convenient for him to dodge with his light skills. Second, he had never fought with the Mongolians and did not understand the power of Mongolian horse archery, especially with the archer GB, so he was caught off guard. Third, there was a traitor like Wang Yankang, and Wang Ke treated the young prince as a good friend, but was completely betrayed. It can only be said that the young prince's acting skills are absolutely top-notch. If he were put on Pangustar, he would definitely win the Best Actor award. Wang Ke never doubted him until his death. Fourth, the pair of white eagles that followed Hua Zheng were too powerful. They were more troublesome than the Mongolian cavalry to some extent, and posed a great threat to Wang Ke. And Wang Feng did not have these unfavorable conditions. He was not injured, and he had heard about the Mongolian archery skills. The traitor Wanyankong was dead, and only the pair of white eagles could cause a little trouble. But that was all. The martial arts of the West Poison was far superior to his son and apprentice, so the threat of the White Eagle to him was very small. After the Mongolian envoys killed Wang Ke, they did not think of hiding their whereabouts, and were soon caught up by the West Poison and Huang Rong. The hatred of killing his son was irreconcilable. Wang Feng quickly killed a group of Mongolian cavalrymen, and the two White Eagles were also seriously injured and lay in the bushes a little further away, unable to struggle. The West Poison tied several leaders, Tuilei, Huazhang, Jibi, and Borshu, to the tree trunks and prepared to cook them. They couldn't just die. The West Poison had flashed dozens of ways to make people live worse than death in his mind, and planned to let them taste them one by one. Originally, the Mongolian envoys returned, and the Song dynasty also sent officers and soldiers to escort them, but when they met Wang Ke and Yankong last time, these useless guys had been scared away. At this time, they didn't know where they ran to. Losing the Mongolian delegation must be a serious crime. It is estimated that they have gone to some mountain to live as bandits. Just when Wang Feng was about to attack Tuilei and others, Guo Jing and Yukiao Zhengdu and others arrived. They rushed forward to rescue them. In Mongolia, Guo Jing grew up with Tuilei and Huazhang. They were childhood sweethearts and had a very good relationship with each other. Jibi treated Guo Jing even more kindly. Not only did he teach him all his archery skills and martial arts, he also helped Guo Jing's family all the time. Guo Jing was most grateful to him. He was not so familiar with Borshu. As the first of Genghis Khan's 4 talents founding heroes, he had a lot of state affairs and really didn't have much time to take care of a child like Guo Jing. However, the dogs raised by the 7 freaks of Jiangnan were very famous in the Mongolian tribes. Borshu had bought a lot of them and was considered a big sponsor. At least he was familiar with them. It was not until Genghis Khan named Guo Jing the Golden Sword Prince Consort that Borshu gradually had some exchanges with Guo Jing himself. But not long after, Guo Jing and the 7 freaks of Jiangnan all fled Mongolia, and their relationship ended without a trace. Seeing that his great enemy Wang Feng was going to kill Tului Enda, Hua Zheng's sister, Master Jibi, and others, Guo Jing immediately rushed forward, followed by the fisherman and the woodcutter. Borshu's resentment soared to the sky. Who is others? Guo Jing, boy, come here and explain to me. At this time, Wang Feng did not dare to fight with Guo Jing, and grabbed Huang Rong and ran away. Guo Jing chased for a while without success, and had to come back to meet the Mongolians. Heal the seriously injured White Eagle. Although Guo Jing's family and the 7 freaks of Jiangnan escaped from the Mongolian tribe a few years ago. But they were originally Han people, and left a lot of money and livestock when they left. Most of the familiar Mongolians did not regard them as traitors. Temujin was very angry at first and almost sent people to kill him. But Hua Zheng had no choice but to give up after crying because she was deeply in love with Guo Jing. In addition, many people such as Jibi spoke well of Guo Jing and the 7 freaks of Jiangnan. They were all Mongolian princes and nobles who had bought dogs. They said that the prince consort and others must have encountered an emergency, so they left overnight. The various customs of the Han people are very different from those of the Mongolians. Maybe there are some special customs. When things are settled, they will definitely come back. The Mongol Empire is now in full swing, and no one can give up the respected status of Golden Sword Prince Consort and Genghis Khan's relative. This must be a misunderstanding. The Mongolians live on nomadism, and in order to pursue fertile water and grass, they must migrate frequently. So they really can't understand the Han people's habit of returning to their roots and their deep feelings for their own Yanhuang bloodline. These people not only really fled Mongolia, but also have been deliberately dealing with Mongolia, which is something they never thought of. This time, the Mongolian delegation came to discuss the alliance with the southern Song dynasty. It was enough to have the important minister Borshu in charge and Jeb as the guard. The main purpose of Prince Tului and Princess Huazhen coming was to find Guozheng. Therefore, the Mongolian delegation stayed in the Jiangnan area. Who would have thought that they did not meet the real master, but met Wang-Ke, Wanyankang, and the Western Poison. All of them almost lost their lives here. At this moment of death, a great hero suddenly appeared in front of everyone on a white horse, beat away the evil villains, and saved them. A closer look showed that this hero was the Golden Sword Prince consort that everyone was looking for. The four of them all sighed at the magic of fate. At the same time, they were more convinced that Guozheng and others must not have defected. Otherwise, he would not have needed to save people today. If only they had come earlier. The Mongolian soldiers who died were all four-man personal guards, warriors of the Mongolian tribe. What a pity. Little did they know that Guozheng was a chivalrous man. It was just a daily routine for him to help others when he saw injustice. If someone else was going to be killed by Wang Feng, he would also help them. Huazhen was the happiest. She held one of Guozheng's hands and giggled non-stop. The other hand was held by his sworn brother Tului, who talked about brotherhood and pushed GB to the outside. We'll talk about your relationship as a master and apprentice later when we have time. Although Borshu and Guozheng didn't have much friendship, he was grateful for his life-saving grace at this time, so he naturally returned the favor. He kept promising that the Golden Sword Prince consort could find him if he had any problems in the future. With his status, there was nothing he couldn't handle in Mongolia. You should know that Genghis Khan trusted Borshu the most and gave him the privilege of not being punished for 9 crimes. Fortunately, Guozheng quickly found the injured white eagles and quickly pulled his hands out to heal them, which temporarily got rid of the enthusiasm of several people. Moreover, he was a little confused now. The matter of the Golden Sword Prince consort was already said to be fake. He never thought of anything happening with Huazhen. Besides, his position was still hostile to Mongolia. Guozheng encountered the situation and really didn't know what to do. After all, young people are thin-skinned. At this moment, he was shouting in his heart, "Master! Come and save me quickly." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1543. Wang Feng was in a dilemma at the moment. He had a headache. The enemy who killed his son Wang Ke was now with Guozheng, so it was difficult for him to kill him. He expected that after the Mongolian delegation was attacked, they would definitely contact the Song army to come for protection. With Guozheng and the fishermen, farmers, and scholars, he was afraid that he would be alone. Maybe Huang Rong, who had already been in his hands, would be rescued. The old poisoner did not dare to take this risk. But it was absolutely impossible for him to stop. The other few people were fine, but GB, the direct murderer who shot his son to death, must not be let go. The West Poison began to think about whether to try poisoning Nirvana. Seeing Wang Feng's eyes becoming more and more fierce, Huang Rong couldn't help but worry. She was afraid that the old poisoner's revenge might affect Brother Jing, so she gave him a trick. It's not easy to kill people here, you can go to Mongolia. Secretly kill Mongolian generals and various princes and nobles, and force them to kill GB to give you an explanation. The Mongols now have a large territory and many targets to choose from, so they will definitely be in a mess. Even if they can't get Jebi's head in the end, his reputation in the Mongolian tribe will definitely be infamous. Those who died at the hands of Wang Feng, their relatives and friends, can't do anything about the old poison, and many people will vent their anger on Jebi. His life will definitely be difficult. Besides, there is only 1,000 days of thieves, but there is no 1,000 days of guarding against thieves. After a long time, people will definitely relax. With Huangrong giving advice and making plans for Wang Feng, not to mention Jebi, even Genghis Khan may not be able to escape the calculation. Huangrong naturally knew about the Jinyuanbao plan led by the fourth master Nanziren, and Wang Feng's disturbance in Mongolia was also helpful to the Jinyuanbao plan. When Wang Feng heard this, he felt that it seemed, there was some truth, so he decided to act according to the plan. Moreover, he really didn't want to confront Guojing head-on. It's not that he couldn't beat him, but he was afraid of the consequences. Because Guojing is the biological father of the child who will be adopted by Wang Ke in the future. If he accidentally kills Guojing, Rong-er will hate him for the rest of his life, and he will forget about inheriting the mantle and adopting a son. Therefore, Wang Feng knew that Huangrong's original intention was not to let him confront Guojing head-on, and he obeyed her. In this regard, the interests of the two are the same. Soon, the news that the West poison took Huangrong all the way north was learned by Guojing and his party. Zuzilio is the red in the fisherman, woodcutter, farmer, and reader of Master Yideng's 4 disciples. He was originally the prime minister of Dali. He is very good at martial arts and wisdom. He immediately judged Wang Feng's intention to go north, so Guojing and his party parted ways and went their separate ways. Guojing and Talui went north to pursue. As long as they entered the Mongolian territory, they could mobilize the Mongolian army, so they were not afraid of Wang Feng's sneak attack. Master Yideng and the 4 people, the fisherman, the woodcutter, the farmer, and the scholar, went to Junshan together to pass the message to the leader of the beggars' sect, Nanziren. Let Nanziren arrange for the masters of the League of Heroes to go and meet them. Yes, at this time they had received the news of the establishment of the League of Heroes. These former ruling groups of Dali Kingdom supported the League of Heroes. As long as the Song dynasty could stop the Jin Kingdom and Mongolia, Dali would be much safer. Although these people no longer interfered in politics, their longing for their homeland would not decrease. However, the 5 of them must not continue to go north. Master Yideng was the Duan Emperor of Dali before he became a monk. If this identity was exposed, he might be used by the Mongols. Now Master Yideng's power has been greatly damaged, and it is impossible for him to be as rampant as Wang Feng. After the rescue of Huangrong was taken over by the beggars' sect, he had to quickly cultivate his power back. All these things were told to Nanziren by Yideng and others after they arrived at the headquarters of the beggars section, and they also brought another person with them, who was the divine fortune teller Yinggu. In the original novel, after Yinggu spared Master Yideng, she came down the mountain, but the tragic death of her beloved son lingered in her mind. She seemed to be questioning her mother why she didn't avenge her. She was upset and resentful in the inn, and when she was distracted, she was knocked out by the Iron Palm Gang with a drug. Thanks to the fight between the Iron Palm Gang and Guojing and Huangrong, she was lucky enough to be saved. Moreover, she found out that the enemy who killed her son was Chukinren. But in this life, the Iron Palm Gang joined the League of Heroes, and Chukinren strengthened the constraints on the gang members. He didn't dare to do such things as using drugs to harm people casually. Yinggu escaped. She just got a serious illness in the inn, with a high fever that wouldn't go away, and she almost died directly, and happened to be met by Master Yideng and his party. Yideng was kind-hearted and had a little knowledge of medical skills, so he cured her in 2 days. Now, Yinggu no longer had any excuse to attack Master Yideng. When she was sick and in a trance, Yinggu confided her troubles to Master Yideng. The 4 people, the fisherman, the woodcutter, the farmer, and the scholar, also heard it, and their views on the former concubine Lu changed because of it. It would be difficult for any mother to bear the pain she experienced. Although she could not be forgiven for her deliberate attempt to harm Master Yideng, she had let it go a lot. Zhu Ziliu frowned and came up with a plan. He persuaded Yinggu to go with him and his group to seek help from the League of Legends. Since someone claims to be a hero, why not give them something that a hero should do? Yinggu was alone and her martial arts were not top-notch. It was almost impossible for her to find the real murderer who killed her son. But the League of Legends is different. The Beggars Sect, Quanzhen Sect, and Iron Palm Gang are all well-known forces in the world, with many people and masters. As long as they agree to help, they should be able to find out the real culprit behind the scenes. Moreover, Nan Ziren, Hong Qigong, and Qiu Qinren are all top masters of the world. If it is found that Yinggu's enemy is too powerful and she can't beat it herself, she can just ask a few top masters for help. I believe they will be willing to take action against a bad guy who killed a baby. After listening to Yinggu's request, the leader of the League of Legends and the leader of the Beggars Sect, Nan Ziren, stared at Zhu Ziliu for a long time with a very strange look. He almost saw his hair. Zhu Ziliu certainly didn't know that Qiu Qinren was the real culprit behind the scenes. His idea was really, Xiaoming was speechless. Fortunately, their first stop was to come to Junction to find the beggars section. If they went to the Iron Palm Gang at the first stop, they would have been a sheep walking into the tiger's mouth. Qiu Qinren was the real murderer back then. His purpose of injuring Yinggu's child was nothing more than to consume Master Yideng, so that he could have a place in the Huashan sword contest in the future. Otherwise, how could a baby survive under the iron palm? Once he knew that Yinggu gave up seeking revenge from Master Yideng and instead focused on tracking him down, he would definitely take the initiative and kill Yinggu. What a close call. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1544. Master did not hesitate to sacrifice his own power to heal my disciples' injuries. Please accept Nan's worship. As long as he puts on Nan Ziren's skin, Xiaoming's behavior will gradually become accustomed to moving closer to the ancient knights in the legend of the Condor heroes. Master Yideng was very kind to Huangrong in healing her wounds, and Nan Ziren, as a master, should also be grateful. Alliance leader, you are being polite. Brother Nan created this League of Legends and promoted righteousness for the world. He is a role model for our generation. It's time for me to thank the Alliance leader. Master Yideng quickly declined and supported Nan Ziren with both hands. When he first rescued Huangrong, he was just out of kindness in his heart and did not think about too many conflicts of interest. Sure enough, good deeds are rewarded. My master has created a league of heroes to fight against the barbarians, and even my own family, the Duan family in Dali, will benefit a lot. He really saved the right person. That was not the only surprise that surprised him. His injury Nancy Ren can also help. Xiaoming already knew this plot in the original work. Guojing should have accidentally revealed the Sanskrit part of the Nine Yin manual, which happened to be translated by the Tianzu monk, a friend of Master Yideng. That chapter is the general outline of the Nine Yin scriptures, which is subtle and mysterious. Originally, every time Master Yideng used up his internal energy to heal someone's injuries, he had to practice for 5 years before he could recover. If one follows the general outline of that scripture, he will be able to recover in less than 3 months. In game terms, the CD time of his super healing skill has been reduced from 5 years to 3 months. Very powerful. However, in this life, the old naughty boy did not force Guojing to recite the Nine Yin scriptures, and this plot would definitely not have happened. However, Xiaoming originally believed that the immortality secret should have a similar effect. Both Guojing and Huangrong possess the inner strength of the secret of immortality, and Guojing is particularly skilled in it. After Master Yideng healed Huangrong, Guojing would definitely use the secret of immortality to help Master Yideng recover. That's about it. However, an accident happened and Wang Feng actually captured Xiao Huangrong. Guojing would have no chance to do this. So I had to do it myself. After a try, it was just as Xiao Ming expected. The inner strength of the secret of immortality was of great help to Master Yideng's recovery. According to Master Yideng's estimation, as long as someone regularly helps with the longevity secret, he should be able to return to his original state in less than half a year. It seems that the effect is still slightly worse than the general outline of the 9 Yin manual. Brother Nan's inner strength of the immortality art is very miraculous, but Wang Feng's kidnapping of Rong Er cannot be delayed. The leader of the alliance does not need to worry about Lao Na, it is only right to save the man first. Lao Na will be fine. Master Yideng always thinks of others first. He knew that Nan Ziren had to take action against Wang Feng. No one else is a match. Worried that Nan Ziren would be too embarrassed to leave without caring about him, he took the initiative to speak out so that Nan Ziren could leave with peace of mind. I also plan to say that I just need to practice for a few more years, and it doesn't matter. At this time, Zhu Zilio jumped in and said, "That's it? The master can take over Junshan in place of the alliance leader. Young people will definitely not dare to cause trouble. We will wait for the alliance leader to return victoriously." As expected of the former Prime Minister of Dali Kingdom, his words were very open and high-sounding. "In fact, I just plan to stay in Junshan and never leave. Wait for Nan Ziren to come back before healing the master's injuries." Didn't he really want his master to spend 5 years recovering in vain? That's what it means, but it definitely can't be said that way, so that's why it's said that he is sitting in Junshan. I believe the leader can also understand the various meanings. In fact, the alliance between the Beggar Clan, Quanzhen Sect, and Iron Palm Clan is already the #1 force in the martial arts world. How could anyone dare to cause trouble? Those who know how powerful they are definitely afraid to come, those who don't know how powerful they are must be low-ranking guys in the world, and the 3 elders of the Beggar Clan, Lu, Jian, and Liang, can handle them. There is no need for Master Yideng to be in charge. Yideng also guessed his apprentice's intention and knew that he was doing it for his own good and could not forcefully reject it. He just glared at Zhu Zilio slightly. Hearing Nan Ziren applaud and praise, "Mr. Zhu is right. I have my wish, but I dare not ask for your ear. I hope Master Yideng will agree." The master had said this, and Yideng could only nod in agreement. Then the old monk is harassing the leader. "That's great, master. My 3rd brother, 5th brother, and 7th sister are also in Junshan. Their internal strength is from the same source as mine. I hope master will give you some advice when you have time." What Xiao Ming said was also a scene statement, which means that although I am gone, several of my brothers can still help you heal. Don't worry. Hearing this, Zhu Zilio couldn't help but blush, feeling a little ashamed. He intended to cause the established fact that master was staying in Junshan, and waited for Nan Ziren to come back to heal master. It turned out that they had already arranged it. 3 of the 7 monsters of Jiangnan are here, and their internal strength is the same as that of Nan Ziren, so they will not delay the master's treatment. I was a bit redundant. But he also thought about his master, so just let him lose face if he didn't regret it. After arranging matters between the League of Legends and the Beggar Clan, Nan Ziren took Yinggu alone to go north. Mu Nianzi, Han Baoju, the elders of the Beggar Clan and others all wanted to go with him, but were dissuaded by Nan Ziren. Mu Nianzi was unhappy and held Nan Ziren's arm for a long time, but could not make the master change his mind. She was so angry that she gave Nancy Ren a small punch. Xiao Ming thought about it and decided not to tell her that Wan Yankang was dead. In this life, Mu Nianzi had nothing to do with Wan Yankang. She didn't know that she would get stuck in that piece of cow dung in the future. Nancy Ren is likely to go deep into the desert and deal with the Mongol Empire and Genghis Khan. It is possible to flee Mongolia again. Temujin would not fall into the same pit twice, and the difficulty of escaping again would certainly increase greatly. If someone with low martial arts skills is brought along, there would probably be losses. How can one avoid being stabbed when wandering in the rivers and lakes? Death is not actually terrible, but if one dies because of this, it would be a bit of a loss. The disciples of the beggars sect would die on the battlefield against the Mongolian Iron Hoof even if they die. It is not because they went there as guests and ended up being killed by the host when escaping. If it is not necessary, Xiaoming actually does not want to take Yinggu with him. But he is afraid that if he leaves her in Junshan, she will meet Qiuqianren, which would be troublesome. Once she recognizes Qiuqianren as the enemy who killed her son, she will fight to the death. If she is not there, I don't know what will happen. Even if Yinggu can't recognize her, Qiuqianren will definitely recognize her. In the past, Yinggu was alone in the rivers and lakes, and Qiuqianren was naturally not afraid of her revenge. He could just leave her alone. But once Yinggu was linked to the beggars sect, Qiuqianren could not let it go. What he did back then was not something that could be made public. Killing an underage baby was something that was outrageous to both humans and gods. Qiuqianren certainly didn't dare to bet that Nanziren would protect him. So his best option was to secretly kill Yinggu. Without the victim, the matter would be forgotten forever. And Xiaoming was planning to find a chance to deal with Qiuqianren in the future. Naturally, he had to protect Yinggu as a witness. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1545. Nan, don't think you can do whatever you want just because you are good at martial arts. How could my enemies be in the desert? Don't try to deceive me. Since her son's death, Yinggu's personality has become violent, impatient, sinister, and vicious. Moreover, she is not acquainted with the kindness of others. She always has to say something harsh when talking to others. Although she reconciled with Master Yideng, she has not reconciled with herself. Personality cannot be changed in a short time. When she was at the headquarters of the beggars sect in Junshan, Master Yideng was by her side, and she knew to restrain herself. After leaving Junshan with Nanziren, her true nature was immediately exposed. When questioning the leader of the beggars sect, her tone was like asking for debts. Xiaoming didn't care about her bad tone, and asked her patiently, "Senior, you are not worthy of being called a divine fortune teller. How come you haven't figured out such a simple thing?" Humph. Stop talking nonsense. Huangrong is 100 times better than me in mathematics. I don't need to mention the title of divine fortune teller. I just want to ask you, what haven't I figured out? Master Yideng has analyzed this matter in detail. If you didn't vent your anger on him and think carefully about what he said back then, you would have found the enemy long ago. Yinggu has now let go of her resentment towards Master Yideng. After Nanziren's reminder, she carefully searched in her memories. Everything that happened on the night of losing her beloved son was deeply imprinted in her mind. But she didn't dare to touch it easily. That kind of unforgettable pain was something she couldn't bear at all. At this time, it involved the real culprit who hurt her son. She endured the pain and recalled carefully. Finally found the key. That day, the emperor said, "This assassin is very skilled, especially his Qinggong. There is no one else in Dali except me who has the skill, that's it." Yinggu spoke faster and faster, and almost shouted the last few words. It seems that she also thought of the key point. Master Yideng, the southern emperor Duan's Hixing of that year personally admitted, in Dali, there is no one else who has the skill except himself. This information is too important. The martial arts of the four people, Yukiao, Zhengdu, and Duan, are all first-class masters in the world, and can be compared with the 7 sons of Quanzhen. There are actually not many martial artists who are not as good as them. So, This assassin must be between Yukiao, Zhengdu, and Duan Huanjai. There are only 20 or 30 in the martial arts world. If Yinggu had not completely fallen out with Duan Huanjai, she would have found the enemy after a careful investigation one by one. But Emperor Duan was so cruel that he didn't save his son. Yinggu watched her son's life gradually fade away. Finally, because she couldn't bear to see him continue to suffer, she had to kill the child with her own hands. From that day on, her hair turned white overnight, which shows how much pain she endured. In that situation, it was almost impossible for her not to vent her anger on the Southern Emperor at that time. Even today, Yinggu has only reluctantly let go of her hatred for Master Yideng. She still feels very uncomfortable in her heart. She has never thought about what happened back then. Master Yideng didn't investigate. He became a monk because of this incident and waited for Yinggu to come and kill him every day, so he ignored the main business of finding the real murderer. And he subconsciously thought that it was the Quanzhen sect who did it in order to cover up the scandal for the Quanzhen section. Considering his friendship with Wang Chongyang, he didn't investigate. Otherwise, Qiu Qinren might not be alive today. Everything can only be said to be fate. Xiao Ming had known for a long time that Qiu Qinren was Yinggu's enemy, but he did not say it immediately, because the most important thing at the moment was to save Rong-er. Xiao Ming did not want to cause trouble. This trip is likely to complete part of Guo Jing's plot in the desert. After returning, some necessary means have been arranged, and it will not be too late to find trouble with Qiu Qinren. It is also very important to expel the barbarians from the Jin and Mongolian countries. The League of Legends cannot be divided internally, and the means to take over the Iron Palm Gang must be prepared before dealing with Qiu Qinren. In the Wuxia planet game, Xiao Ming can only use martial arts, and other supernatural energies cannot be used, and he does not have an overwhelming absolute advantage. Therefore, many things must be planned before they can be acted, and they cannot be done at will. Nanziren's argument to Yinggu is that Wang Feng is one of the 5 great masters of the Central Plains, and his martial arts are not inferior to the Southern Emperor. And there is also sufficient motivation. As long as the Southern Emperor's power is greatly damaged, Wang Feng will have one less opponent in the future Huashan sword contest. The real murderer Qiu Qinren actually had the same idea. Sometimes, Xiao Ming was confused by the brain circuit of the West Poison. He himself did not have the ability to defeat the East Evil, the North Beggar, and the South Emperor in one fell swoop. In this case, there was no need to do something bad to the South Emperor. Because even if the South Emperor was defeated, it was unknown who would benefit in the end. What if the East Evil or the North Beggar got something for nothing? Wouldn't he be making wedding clothes for others? It would just be a waste of his energy. If he had that time, he could practice martial arts more. Facing 3 powerful enemies who were no less powerful than himself, it was most important to enhance his own abilities. Could he trap all 3 opponents? Moreover, it would be fine if the West Poison did this, but why did Qiu Qinren also join in the fun? He actually hadn't gotten to the same position yet. This was a bit too hasty. By the way, Master Yideng had already analyzed that Wang Feng was tall, and the assassin mentioned by Yinggu was shorter than ordinary people, so it must not be Wang Feng. If a short person wants to pretend to be tall, there are some ways. But it is more difficult for a tall person to pretend to be short. You can't just saw off a part of his leg. But Yinggu didn't see Wang Feng, so she couldn't come to the same conclusion. After being fooled by Nanziren, she felt that it made sense. Maybe it was done by the West Poison. So she followed Nanziren north obediently. She felt that Nanziren was very confident in helping her find the murderer, so she listened to Nanziren and was willing to follow some precautions Xiao Ming said. In the Mongolian tribe, if she leaked Nanziren's background, the harm would be great. Yinggu has the potential to become a time bomb. Making her obedient is also the top priority of this trip. Xiao Ming spent some effort and finally did it. Not long after, Nan Ziren and Yinggu caught up with Guojing, Tuolei, Huazheng, and others. Everyone was very happy. Guojing was happy that the master had come, so Wang Feng was not scary anymore. Tuolei and Huazheng had been taken care of by Nan Ziren since they were young, and they had a good feeling towards him. In order to master the Mongolian method of training soldiers, Nan Ziren had served as a soldier under Gibi for many years. Gibi was also very happy to see his capable old subordinate. Only Borshu had not had much contact with Nan Ziren, so he could only say some polite words. But the Mongolians were not good at small talk, so after 2 sentences, he could only listen. Yinggu made an unexpected move. She actually claimed to be Nan Ziren's wife in front of the Mongolians. Guojing was confused, but he had to call her master's wife in front of outsiders. He was full of doubts and could only ask the 4th master later. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1546. Yinggu claimed to be Nan Ziren's wife, not because she had any unspeakable thoughts about him. Yinggu was a woman of great affection and nature. Since she loved that old naughty boy, she would not change her mind. The reason for doing this was purely to stay close to Nan Ziren during this period of time. Don't even think about getting rid of me at night. Anyway, Yinggu regarded the leader of the beggars sect as a life-saving straw. Before the murderer of her son was found, she would hold him tightly and never let go. Do you find me annoying? Then help me get revenge quickly. Of course, she was just expressing an attitude. Xiaoming's martial arts were far superior to hers, and he could seal her acupuncture points at any time to prevent her from following. So it was not a big trouble. A few days later, the group met with a Mongolian patrol team, and Tului and others could finally breathe a sigh of relief, especially the archer Gibi. Tului, Huazheng, and Borshu had too high a status in the Mongolian Empire. If the 3 of them were slightly injured, he, the guard, would bear a lot of responsibility. In principle, even if they were not injured, but just frightened, Gibi was also responsible. He had to be on high alert. Gibi had witnessed Wang Feng's power with his own eyes, and it was hard to imagine that a person could be so powerful. He did not have much confidence in whether Guojing could deal with Wang Feng. At this time, he had soldiers to dispatch, and he could finally do some defense work. Gibi frequently sent out scout cavalry in all directions to ensure that Wang Feng could not come to attack. As the information was passed on to the Mongolian army, many centurions and 1,000-man commanders brought troops to protect. This burden was finally lifted from Gibi's shoulders. According to Nan Ziren's request, the matter of the Golden Sword Prince Consort returning to Mongolia with the 4th master and his master's wife should not be publicized. The Golden Sword Prince Consort was of noble status and could not be ignored, but his master and his master's wife were not important figures, so there was no need to mention them at all. This request was very strange to Borshu and others, but it was not necessary to twist it for such a small matter. I didn't plan to say more. Xiaoming did this just to trick the Western poison. He and Yinggu disguised themselves as Guojing's personal soldiers and tried not to reveal their identities. Of course, it's hard to say whether it will succeed. Wang Feng is not stupid. He won't believe that no one will come to help Guojing. But he certainly can't guess that only Nan Ziren and Yinggu will come. Borshu and his friends have more important things to do. They must report to Genghis Khan that a martial arts master from the western regions intends to assassinate the Mongolian princes and generals. So he first sent a messenger to deliver the news to Genghis Khan's golden tent, and his group followed the Mongolian army. In the original book, several Mongolian generals were leading their troops to fight against the Jin kingdom. They defeated the Jin kingdom. They were just about to destroy the country. However, in this life, due to the Jinyuanbao plan of Nanziran and Wanyan Hongli, Mongolia's development was slowed down, and the military strength of the Jin kingdom was also strengthened to a certain extent, so the battle was not so smooth. The war was in a state of tension. Unexpectedly, before the messenger was sent out, Genghis Khan's messenger had already arrived. It turned out that the Khan had summoned all the kings and generals to the northern desert. Some of the troops and generals who attacked the Jin kingdom also had to be recalled. Guojing, Tului, and others also took this ride. As the army returned to the Annan River, along the way, Nanziran, Guojing, and Yinggu kept discussing what to say after meeting Genghis Khan. When I ran away before, I never thought about coming back at all, and I resolutely left without saying goodbye. It seems that I have pitted myself. At that time, Xiaoming didn't know that the power of the game system to correct the plot was so strong, and he and Guojing still had to come back. I had to think of some ways to say it. But it was estimated that the problem should not be big. After all, since it was the system that was correcting the plot, Genghis Khan would not behead Guojing, and he would definitely let him lead the troops. Even Guojing was fine, so Nanziran, the role of the master of the Golden Sword Prince Consort, would probably not get into trouble. I once tried to get information from Borshu, and he guessed that at most he would be whipped. With Nanziran's martial arts and physique, he would not be hurt at all. Xiaoming was mentally prepared. In fact, when he arrived at the Golden Horde, none of these things happened. Genghis Khan was too lazy to ask about such trivial matters. To be precise, it was overshadowed by more important things. It turned out that Hyder Khan of Otrar city in Khwarezm killed 499 peaceful merchants of the Mongolian Khanate, and its king Muhammad arbitrarily killed the envoy sent by Genghis Khan to negotiate. The Mongol Empire was now in its heyday. If Genghis Khan did not retaliate against this obvious slap in the face, he would not be able to survive in the future. So Genghis Khan planned to lead an army of 200,000 to the west to conquer the great Central Asian Empire of Khwarezm. This was also the first of the three famous large-scale westward expeditions of Mongolia. In front of such a big event, Guojing's little thing can't be put on the table. He was just hit twice by Genghis Khan. And Nanziran didn't even have the chance to see Genghis Khan. Just an insignificant little character. According to the guards of the Mongolian delegation who escaped back, Wanyan Hongli is now in Khwarezm, and these things were actually instigated by him. In the game, Xiaoming just subdued Wanyan Hongli with the life and death talisman a few months ago. How come he ran to Central Asia so quickly? The system god is really powerful. Wanyan Hongli made a great contribution this time. He provoked a war between Mongolia and Khwarezm, and the Jin dynasty naturally got a chance to breathe. The southern Song dynasty also took advantage of it. When Guojing heard the news, he didn't know what to think. In the original book, his position was on both the Song dynasty and Mongolia. The Jin dynasty was an enemy and had a national hatred and family feud with Wanyan Hongli. So he was very supportive of Genghis Khan's westward expedition. He even made great efforts in the process. But this behavior undoubtedly strengthened the strength of the Mongolian Empire, which was not a good thing for the Song dynasty. Guojing at this time in the original book could not think of this level. However, in this life, Guojing was influenced by Nanziran and had some understanding of the world's situation. He already knew that what Wanyan Hongli did was beneficial to both the Jin dynasty and the Song dynasty. This made him a little overwhelmed. Of course, the revenge for his father's murder still had to be avenged. So Guojing acted indignant and vowed to kill Wanyan Hongli for revenge. Genghis Khan was delighted to hear this, and named Guojing Nayun, and ordered him to lead a 10,000-man army to participate in the war. Guojing had been studying Wu Mu's posthumous book for quite some time. It was a good opportunity to test it. But he would definitely not teach the advanced formations to the Mongols again. As for Wang Feng's plan to assassinate the princes and generals, Genghis Khan did not take it to heart. At other times, he might have to be careful, but at this time, the Mongolian army of 200,000 was assembled, and no matter how high Wang Feng's martial arts were, he would not get any benefits, and it was not worth mentioning. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1547. Fourth Master, as you expected, the Great Khan asked me just now about the way to immortality, and I recommended Taoist Master Changchun Ziqiuchuji to the Great Khan. The Great Khan immediately sent an envoy with an edict to invite him. On this day, in the handsome tent of the Golden Sword Prince Consort, Guojing reported this to Nanziren. He was very surprised. How could the fourth master guess that the Great Khan wanted to live forever? Moreover, although Taoist Master Chiu Chuji is indeed good at martial arts, he does not have the ability to live forever, right? Inviting him here doesn't seem to be of any help to Genghis Khan. Xiaoming smiled and said nothing. Guojing, this apprentice, was good at everything, but his mind was too simple and he couldn't hide things in his stomach. If I told him the truth, I would have to hide it from him because I was afraid that he would reveal the truth in front of Temujin. Genghis Khan wanted to live for 2 more years, and at Guojing's suggestion, he specially invited Chiu Chuji to come. These things are the plot in the original work. After Chiu Chuji arrived, in view of Genghis Khan's desire for immortality, he asked him to combine the pursuit of becoming an immortal with doing good deeds. Genghis Khan was advised that the key to maintaining health is to strengthen the spirit internally and cultivate yin virtue externally. The internal spirit of strengthening is not to go out to conquer, and the external cultivation of yin virtue is to stop violence and killing. Taoist priest Chiu has indeed achieved some results. This is also a good thing. Of course Xiaoming will facilitate it. More importantly, when the League of Legends was established, Nanziren had secret conversations with Chiu Chuji. He wanted Chang Chunzi to tell Temujin a big lie and divert trouble to the west. The opportunity to tell Genghis Khan to immortality lies in finding the Queen Mother of the West. As long as he finds the Queen Mother and asks her to give him a flat peach, Temujin himself will become an immortal. Give a few more and the whole family can become immortals. Doesn't it smell good? Since it is the Queen Mother of the West, the Mongols' attack direction must be towards the west. Anyway, the Mongol Empire will have 3 western expeditions, all the way to the interior of Europe. Chiu Chuji is just pushing them and adding fire. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 western expeditions are possible in the future. I believe that in order to live forever, Genghis Khan would be willing to shift the focus of his strategy to the west. Then Dasong will be safe. The kingdom of Jin, which was supposed to be destroyed by the Iron Heel of Mongolia, would naturally be controlled by the League of Legends. As for the Korean peninsula and Japan, it depends on the mood later. Seeing that his master didn't answer, Guojing didn't ask any more questions. He has long been accustomed to the mysterious nature of his fourth master. Suddenly he remembered another thing that troubled him, that is, Guojing had never led an army. He didn't know how to manage an army of 10,000 people. Xiaoming quickly reminded him, haven't you read Wu Mu's suicide note for so long, and you just happened to be practicing with the Mongolian army. As for when it comes to fighting, we just have to be reckless. As long as Guojing, Nanziren, and Yinggu serve as the vanguard together, leading an army of 10,000 people to charge bravely, ordinary enemies will not be able to stop them. With such a fierce fighting, it is inevitable that our team will suffer heavy losses. Anyway, those who died were Mongolians, so we don't need to feel too bad. Although, as the Pluto of the underworld, Xiaoming should be equal to a bowl of water. Regardless of whether he is a Mongolian or a Han, human life is worthy of attention. However, when dealing with the Mongolian army, Xiaoming felt at ease doing this. Because in this army, everyone from top to bottom is almost innocent. Because the Mongols like to kill innocent people indiscriminately when fighting, massacres of cities are commonplace after winning a battle. Those who can compete with them in this regard include the later Manchu Qing dynasty and the Little Japanese. There are probably very few people in this army who have not stained their hands with the blood of innocents. Therefore their lives are not worth cherishing. This kind of trivial matter can be completely ignored. Guo Jing was most worried about Huangrong's safety. For this reason, he sent a large number of subordinates to investigate in all directions every day. Genghis Khan and the Mongolian generals thought that the Golden Sword Prince consort understood the importance of intelligence in the war, so they sent out several times more spies than other teams. They all felt very relieved. He is worthy of being the consort of the great Khan, and his military talents are indeed innate. Little did he know that the consort had always been thinking about other women. These spies were sent out for this reason. It's all a misunderstanding. Unfortunately, although spies were sent out in waves, they returned one after another. But they never brought back any news about Wang Feng and Huangrong. It was as if these two people were not in Mongolia. Where did these two go? Could it be that he accidentally encountered the Mongolian army and was killed? Even with Lao Tuo's martial arts, it's impossible. Or maybe the two of them are really not near the Mongolian army. That's right. The two men are indeed no longer around. Wang Feng has been very troubled since arriving in Mongolia. He listened to Huangrong's instigation and made a special trip to Mongolia just to kill several princes and nobles and force the Mongolians to hand over Jibi, the enemy of his son. Unexpectedly, just in time for Khan to increase his troops, the banks of the Onan River had turned into a large military camp stretching for thousands of miles. Every prince, noble, and general is protected by soldiers. And he still lives in a military camp. It was difficult for Wang Feng to find an opportunity to strike. He was unhappy and naturally asked Xiao Huangrong to question him. The meaning is also very simple. I believed in your evil deeds, so I came here to carry out a terrorist assassination. As a result, we are faced with such a situation. Please find a way to solve it. Xiao Huangrong was full of wisdom. Uncle Wang, the Mongols are going to war. This is something no one can imagine. However, I would like to congratulate Uncle. Wang Feng still had a look of worry on his face and snorted coldly, "Little girl, don't try to play tricks. If you have anything to say, just say it. What can I congratulate?" Huangrong didn't care about his bad tone, and said calmly, "The news we got in the past 2 days is very clear. The Mongols are going to go to war with Khwarezm. This is our chance." Wang Feng was thoughtful, but still stubborn. "So what? Epsilon equals Omicron asterisk, alas, uncle, Khwarezm has hundreds of thousands of troops, and you just got hundreds of thousands of helpers for nothing." Huangrong held her forehead and said, "As long as we work harder, we may be able to kill all the Mongolian troops. Wouldn't your nephew's revenge be avenged 10,000 times or 100,000 times? In the future, your reputation will spread, and the West Poison will let the whole Mongolia be buried with him to avenge his nephew. How face-saving! Even my father and my master are not as powerful as you." Wang Feng's eyes lit up when he heard this. It's true, it's really difficult to dominate the Huashan sword contest and be the best martial artist in the world. But if he could trap 200,000 Mongolian troops, it would be a great event that would make him famous. There is no need to fight on Mount Huashan, because the other 5 masters of the Central Plains will never be able to match him in this aspect. The little girl's idea is quite vicious. I like it. She is worthy of being my favorite. If my son hadn't died, he and her would really be a good match. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1548. Under Huangrong's strong encouragement, Wang Feng and her went all the way west, preparing to sneak into the Khwarezmian army and attack the Mongolian general on the battlefield. The damage caused by this approach is much more effective than assassinating a Mongolian general in peacetime. It is likely to cause a major defeat of the Mongolian army. This is good for both Wang Feng and Huang Rong. It is difficult for Wang Feng to assassinate a Mongolian general in the army alone, especially a general of Jeb's level. He is always accompanied by elite guards. Of course, as long as the plan is proper, with the ability of Wang Feng, the Western poison, it is estimated that there is no chance of assassinating Genghis Khan, but there is still a certain chance of success in assassinating Jeb. But it is not 100%. Veterans on the battlefield like Jeb have a much better sense of danger than ordinary people, even more than many people in the martial arts world. Once the assassination fails, it will be very difficult to assassinate him next time. Therefore, Huang Rong suggested that Wang Feng assassinate Mongolian princes and nobles. The princes and nobles only had a relatively high status, but their fighting power was not up to par, and their personal guards could not be very strong, not to mention their intuition about danger. You should pick the soft persimmons. But on the battlefield, Wang Feng was no longer fighting alone. He had the Khwarezmian army to cover him, and it was naturally much easier to assassinate the enemy general in the chaos. To be honest, on the ancient battlefield, the higher the status of the general, the less likely it was to die in battle. In addition to the large number of personal soldiers protecting them, an important reason was his armor. The general must be wearing the most qualified armor, and the defense power was absolutely amazing. It is not an exaggeration to say that he was invulnerable to swords and guns. In ancient times, generals were often hit by dozens of arrows, and their armor was pierced like a hedgehog, but they could still continue to fight normally. After leaving the battlefield, they only suffered some flesh wounds. Generals wearing helmets and armor, ordinary soldiers can't do anything to them, they can only consume the opponent's physical strength. After all, armor with high defense power is also quite heavy. Wearing dozens of kilograms of heavy armor, even those famous generals would find it difficult to fight for a long time. Before becoming a reincarnation, Xiao Ming had eaten energy-enhanced food, but the amount was too small after all, and his sister Xiao Jing'er shared it, resulting in his body not being particularly strong. In addition, the otaku usually lacks exercise, so he is not as physically strong as ordinary people. He is already exhausted after carrying 20 kilograms of things. If he changes to armor weighing dozens of kilograms, he probably can't move a step after putting it on. Epsilon equals Omicron asterisk, alas, people are so annoying when they compare themselves to others. But Wang Feng is different. With his martial arts, the heavy armor on the Mongolian generals will only delay their escape speed. That little defense is equivalent to nothing for the internal strength master. This does not mean that when martial arts masters use weapons to chop and kill, their power is several times stronger than that of regular soldiers, and they can break through the defense of heavy armor. Rather, for a top master of internal strength like Wang Feng, using internal strength to hit the enemy from a distance is a routine operation. It is completely possible to let the strength penetrate the armor to hurt the enemy. Martial artists who have not reached this level cannot play well on the battlefield. The battle situations faced on the battlefield and in the martial arts world are actually completely different. The old poisonous creature was bewitched by Huang Rong and wanted to win a good name for avenging his son and destroying a country. Moreover, as a Westerner, he could easily sneak into the army of Khwarezm, and no one would be suspicious. In other words, the battle method set by Xiao Ming for Guojing, with Guojing, Nanziren, and Yinggu as the vanguards and the Mongolian army following up, is almost the same idea. Of course, they all have to wear heavy armor on the battlefield. Although Xiao Ming has practiced the Vajra indestructible divine skill, it also consumes internal strength. It is safer to have armor. Little Huang Rong really made a great contribution this time. At her young age, she actually didn't understand things like national hatred, family hatred, protecting the country and the people. Thanks to the time spent with Nan Ziren before, Xiaoming knew that she was extremely intelligent, so he had revealed various things to her early on, including the idea of suppressing the rise of Mongolia. With Huangrong's talent, even if Nan Ziren just mentioned it casually, she could draw inferences and understand many things. In fact, she was able to see through Wang Yankang's scam before, thanks to Nan Ziren's advance reminder. Xiaoming didn't specifically emphasize that Wang Yankang was not trustworthy. However, because he didn't like his character, it was naturally reflected in his tone and demeanor when chatting. Ronger was such a smart person, she could see the big picture from the small details, and she had a prejudice against Wang Yankang in her heart. Only when the time came, she could easily expose Wang Yankang's conspiracy. In the original book, Wang Yankang died because he killed Wang Ke and was exposed by Huangrong. In this life, he still couldn't escape this fate. Huangrong killing Wang Yankang is a small matter, but enabling Khwarezm to fight a bloody battle with the Mongolian army is a big deal. You should know that Khwarezm has an army of as many as 500,000 or 600,000. The Mongols' westward expedition was actually a small force against a large one. Once the leading general suddenly died and the battle became a stalemate, the Mongols would suffer a great loss. It is very likely that due to the heavy losses, the road to its rise may be cut off. If that happens, thank God. The Mongols once fought in Europe, which is really encouraging, and even many Han people are proud of it. But the sins of killing they committed are too heavy, and it is not a bad thing not to rise. Although Xiaoming did not guess that Huangrong instigated Wang Feng to do big things. But he was not worried about her safety. Since Huangrong was fine with Wang Feng for so long in the original book, and even escaped later. In the secret realm, with the care of the game system, there must be no problem. At this time, the Mongolian army was preparing for the expedition. The dispatch of 200,000 troops, the deployment and maintenance of horses, weapons and equipment, the preparation and transportation arrangements of baggage, food, tents, etc., etc., all required a considerable amount of time to take care of. Even if Guojing did not manage things much, he was a little dizzy by the logistics work of the 10,000-man team under his command. He wanted to push it to the fourth master to take care of it, but he couldn't. Because this was Nan Ziren's special training and training for him. In the future, Guojing in the secret realm may not need to guard Xiangyang. But he will definitely become the commander of the beggar gang army in the League of Legends. At that time, it was not just Xiangyang that had to be guarded. It is very likely that he would lead the various armies of the League of Legends to destroy the Jin Kingdom. The territory to be protected is huge. It depends on Xiaoming's mood. If Xiaoming doesn't mind the trouble, he might even start a war against Korea and Japan. Guojing will be even more useful, and he must be trained now. Besides, even if he wants to do it for him, Xiaoming himself does not have the talent. He is just a geek who likes to play games. Before he had a mind beast, he even made a mess of his room, so how could he be capable of managing the various complicated affairs of a 10,000-man team? People still need to know themselves. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1549. It was a clear, blue sky. Dozens of Mongolian troops lined up on the prairie. Genghis Khan offered sacrifices to heaven and earth and swore to go to war. Before going to war, he mentioned the issue of the successor to the Khan's throne to the kings and generals. After careful consideration, Temujin finally made his third son Ojide the crown prince. Genghis Khan made this decision after careful consideration. The eldest son Jaki and the second son Chagatai were incompatible, as if they were mortal enemies. There were probably many reasons. Jaka was not actually Genghis Khan's own flesh and blood. At the beginning, Temujin's army was weak, and his wife was abducted by the enemy Merkid people. After several years, she was recaptured and had already given birth to Jaka. But Genghis Khan did not dislike this. He regarded Jaka as his own son, and Jaka would not feel inferior to others. This kind of thing is actually a convention on the grassland. Most nomadic peoples abide by this rule. Only when Chagatai was upset about this, coupled with the struggle for the succession of the Khan, would he target Jaka everywhere. This is also related to the inheritance system of nomadic peoples. The Han dynasty is the eldest son inheritance system, and most of the time there is no dispute. The nomadic people are just the opposite, the youngest son inheritance system, also known as the youngest son guards the stove. The reason is that after the sons of nomadic peoples grow up and get married, they often separate from the family and live alone. When the father dies, the property is generally left to the youngest son. After Genghis Khan's death, the khanship was indeed passed to Ojide, but most of his elite soldiers and generals were given to his youngest son Tului. In fact, the Qing dynasty also had this custom before entering the Central Plains. But the khanship of the Mongolian Empire is different from the inheritance of small families after all. Therefore, Genghis Khan stipulated that the successor to the Mongolian Khan must be recommended and decided by the Kurultai, that is, the meeting attended by the kings and nobles. Of course, his successor can be decided by him. Both Jaki and Chagatai were brave generals with outstanding achievements, which meant that they both had opportunities, so they were incompatible. If either of them became the Khan, he would immediately purge the other, which would inevitably cause the division of Mongolia. The empire might even perish in the second generation. The youngest son, Tului, was quite capable, but unfortunately he was too young and had no achievements, so it was impossible for him to become the Khan. In desperation, he could only choose his third son, Ojide. He might not be good at fighting, but he had a good personality, was friendly, and had a good relationship with his brothers, so he would definitely be able to maintain the inheritance of the Mongolian Empire. Since the position of the crown prince was decided, it was a great event. Genghis Khan held a banquet for all the generals and drank until late at night. When he returned to his tent, Guojing was a little drunk. He was about to go to bed, but was stopped by his fourth master, Nanziren. Guojing showed doubts in his eyes, and Xiaoming did not explain, but only signaled him to use his internal energy to dispel the drunkenness. Jing'er always listened to Nanziren's words, and immediately followed his instructions. He saw from the corner of his eyes that Yinggu beside him also had a face full of question marks, just as suspicious as him. At this moment, a personal soldier hurried into the tent and reported, "Prince Consort, it's not good. The eldest prince and the second prince are drunk and each led their soldiers to fight." Phi Pan, Guojing was shocked and subconsciously said, "Go and report to the Khan." The personal soldier replied with a bitter face, "I went, but the Khan was drunk and couldn't wake him up." Guojing was not in a hurry, as he had a backbone, so he looked at his master. Nanziren said to the personal soldier, "Pass the order, the Golden Sword Prince Consort will recruit soldiers." The personal soldier also knew Nanziren's position in the army, and immediately agreed and went out of the tent to pass the order. Xiaoming quietly gave Guojing instructions in person. After a while, Guojing's 10,000-man team had been integrated and set off to gallop towards the northeast where the shouting and killing sounded. In the original novel, when Guojing's army arrived, Jaki and Chagatai had not yet fought. He quickly captured the two princes with the formation in Wu Mu's posthumous book, leaving the Mongolian army with almost no losses, and also showed his face in front of Genghis Khan. He was appointed as the commander of three 10,000-man teams of the Right Army. Xiaoming actually wanted to let Jaki and Chagatai fight each other. They each had more than 20,000 men, all of whom were elite soldiers and generals. If more died, it would weaken Mongolia. But he couldn't do that, because if these more than 40,000 people suffered heavy losses, Genghis Khan might cancel this western expedition, and then how could Mongolia and Khwarezm fight against each other? So this matter still needs to be taken care of, but it can be a little later, and more casualties will not affect the overall situation. Sure enough, when Guo Jing's army arrived, Jaki and Chagatai's personal soldiers were already fighting in one place. The Mongols were quite fierce, and they drank wine today. At the beginning, they could kill their compatriots without mercy. Xiao Ming took a quick look and found that at least hundreds of people had been killed and thousands of people were injured. Guo Jing waved his spear and shouted, "Follow me. Separate the armies of the eldest prince and the second prince." Then he rode his horse and charged. Nanziran and Yinggu followed closely on their horses. The army responded in unison and followed the Golden Sword Prince consort to the battlefield. At this time, Subuchi and Chagatai had met, each leading hundreds of elite soldiers and fighting. Even if they found another army coming, they would not be distracted. In fact, as the main general in the army, he needs to observe the battlefield situation at any time and make adjustments. In the early stages of the battle, he generally does not personally fight. And he will not ignore the appearance of a 10,000 man army. However, this time it was not a normal battle, but a fight between two princes. The common sense in the army did not matter. The two of them just wanted to kill each other, so there was no command, just a rush. This also facilitated the intervention of Guo Jing's army. As a vanguard, Guo Jing did not need to stab anyone with a big gun. He whipped the Mongolian soldiers when he saw them, knocking them off their horses. Everyone was in unbearable pain and lost their fighting ability for a while. Then, Nanziran followed closely behind, throwing handfuls of stones in his hand. Although the power was deliberately weakened, a large number of Mongolian soldiers were knocked to the ground, which was more efficient than Guo Jing. Yinggu and the people who followed later took advantage of the gaps and were responsible for picking up leaks and dealing with the guys who were not knocked down by the two masters. Try not to hurt anyone's life. Wherever the army went, no one could stop it, and the Mongolian soldiers retreated involuntarily. Some warriors also raised their guns and jumped on their horses to stop Guo Jing, but they were no match and were still whipped away. Led by the Golden Sword Prince consort, this group of people was unstoppable and separated the armies of Jaki and Chagatai. Of course, it was impossible to separate them so clearly, and there were always some soldiers who were separated into the enemy's group. But everyone was a little confused when they suddenly encountered such a strong enemy, and the drunkenness was mostly gone. They would not take advantage of their own number of people to attack the people of the other side. Peace began to quietly come. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1550. Subuchi and Chagatai were fighting fiercely with guns and swords, and suddenly heard the people around them shouting in a mess, "Be careful! Prince, be careful! Protect the prince!" At the same time, some personal soldiers also rode up and blocked the two of them. Subuchi and Chagatai were both shocked. Their subordinates were loyal and would not violate their orders at will. Now they suddenly join the battle, there must be a reason. Before they had time to think about it, these subordinates shouted in a mixed manner and fell off their horses to the ground. Of course, they were all hit by the stones thrown by Nanziran. Because most of them were wearing armor, Xiao Ming usually hit them in the face. The stone hit, the injury was not serious, but it really hurt. Many people had broken noses, covering their faces and rolling on the ground. Subuchi and Chagatai each saw a black shadow, like a falcon, swooping down on them from a high altitude, very powerful. The people around him who could protect him were lying on the ground. A little further away, other personal soldiers saw the danger and squeezed over to protect the prince, even if they stepped on their companions. Unfortunately, they were loyal and brave, but not strong enough. All of them were knocked to the ground by the stones flying in front of them. They were of no help at all. The two princes had been in battle for a long time, so they were calm in the face of danger and each fought to meet the enemy. Subuchi thrust his spear at the man who came, and the man paused in the air for a moment, dodged his spear tip, and then slapped Subuchi's spear with his palm. The eldest prince felt a sharp pain in his palm, and his hands involuntarily loosened the handle of the spear. Then he felt a chill on his neck and found that he had been held by a scimitar. His life was about to be lost, and Subuchi suddenly broke out in a cold sweat, and his drunkenness was gone. He looked closely and found that the one holding him hostage with a scimitar was Guojing, the prince consort of the golden sword. Chagatai on the other side was not much better than him. He also used the scimitar in his hand to attack the enemy who rushed over, but he hit nothing. It turned out that he hit the opponent's phantom. The other person seemed to rush to him from another direction, twisted his hand and snatched his scimitar, and put it on his neck with his backhand. It's convenient here. The second prince was also like the eldest brother, trembling all over, and the alcohol was gone. He didn't realize that it was actually a woman who controlled him. Xiaoming needed to take a general view of the situation and use the scattered stones to stop the subordinates of the two princes. Only Guojing and Yinggu could take action and control the target person in an instant. No matter how brave Jaka Chagatai was, he was no match for the two masters in this small space. Hulala, the soldiers and horses behind Guojing rushed in, surrounded the two princes, and pointed their swords and guns at them. Those fallen soldiers were also treated. When Guojing jumped up to attack, it was inconvenient to carry a long spear, so he threw it down and used the curved sword on his waist to stop Shichi. At this time, the personal soldiers came up to take over, and he sheathed the sword and shouted loudly, "We are all Mongolian brothers, and we are not allowed to kill each other. Quickly throw down the swords, spears, bows and arrows, otherwise the Khan will punish and behead you." With this shout, Guojing used the internal force of the Changshengju, and the sound rumbled throughout the battlefield. Everyone stopped fighting involuntarily. When the two armies fought, at the beginning, relying on the alcohol, the two groups fought really fiercely, and many people died. However, it didn't take long for the fighting spirit to weaken. First, the opponents were all clansmen, most of them were good friends. Second, they were afraid of the Khan's scolding, and at this time they were in chaos because of the rush of Guojing's army, and they had no intention of fighting. After hearing the words of the Golden Sword Prince Consort, they got off their horses and threw away their weapons. More than 40,000 people were sobered up by the cool breeze at night. Thinking about this time without the order of the Khan to fight with his own people, I don't know what kind of punishment he will receive. Thinking about Genghis Khan's strict military discipline, he couldn't help feeling uneasy. Ordinary soldiers can be better, after all, they are doing things according to the orders of their superiors. The two princes are really regretting now. Why did they get so angry before? This battle was too impulsive. The position of the crown prince has long been determined to be given to Ojide. Even if he kills the other party, he can't be the next Mongolian Khan. It is very likely that he will be severely punished by his father. Isn't it too stupid to fight like this? Moreover, they were captured by Guojing, the Golden Sword Prince Consort. This person has a very ordinary relationship with them. Usually, the two of them are proud of their status and look down on Guojing. Now there is no chance to make friends. I don't know if he will chop himself up directly to please Ojide. Thinking of this, both Jockey and Chagatai showed expressions other than fear on their faces. In the original novel, Guojing, under Huangrong's reminder, also led the troops to capture the two princes. But he was in a state of anxiety. He felt that he was an outsider after all, and he didn't know whether it was a blessing or a curse after doing this big thing. He also planned to go to Ojide and to Louis to discuss how to deal with the aftermath. In this life, he was not afraid at all. With the fourth master here, he was not worried even if the sky fell. The expression on his face was very calm and natural. Seeing his expression, the soldiers of the three armies also calmed down. After a while, the horn was heard, and the nine-flag banner of the Khan came from afar in the light of the fire. It turned out that Genghis Khan got the news and came without even wearing armor and with his hair disheveled. Temujin was very worried, fearing that the corpses were already everywhere and his two sons were also beheaded. When he arrived at the scene, he found that there was not so much blood. The soldiers of the two armies were sitting on the ground in rows, and Guojing's cavalry was monitoring them. Although Jaki and Chagatai were each surrounded by 8 warriors holding knives, there was no blood on their bodies and they were safe and sound. Guojing hurried forward and bowed, telling the whole story. Genghis Khan was overjoyed. Both sons were fine. The three armies fought and about 1,000 people died and thousands were injured, which was within an acceptable range. He was very relieved. This son-in-law was not accepted in vain. He immediately gathered all the generals, scolded Jaka and Chagatai severely, and confiscated a large amount of gold, silver, and livestock from them. Gathering people to make trouble, find. He said to Guojing again, "You still say you can't lead troops to fight? The merit of this battle is greater than conquering Zhongdu of the Jin kingdom. If the enemy's city cannot be conquered today, it can be conquered again tomorrow. If my sons and elite soldiers died, how can they come back alive?" Then he gave the fines of Jaki and Chagatai to Guojing as a reward. Guojing couldn't refuse, so he divided the reward into 2 parts according to his master's previous instructions. One part was used to provide relief to the dead and wounded in this battle, and the other part was given to his subordinates. The three armies cheered. Genghis Khan was also very satisfied with his son-in-law's treatment. The Mongolian generals were all wise men, knowing that Guojing's contribution this time was too great, and it was not an exaggeration to say that he saved the Mongolian Empire. They also saw that he treated money as dirt, and distributed all rewards to the soldiers, and even the casualties of the first and second princes were compensated. They all admired him. In the next few days, they came to Guojing's camp to congratulate him. In the past, except for a few people like Jibi, everyone had no friendship with Guojing, but now they all looked at him with admiration and tried to make friends with him. At Guojing's request, they all gave him advice on how to use troops, which benefited Guojing a lot.